As heartbreaking as that loss to the Bengals was, the Denver Broncos have got to find a way to rally because their season is not over. I want to go ahead and bring in the NFL playoff picture. 6 of the 7 AFC playoff teams have already punched their ticket in. The Chargers joined that list today after beating the New England Patriots. The only team that has yet to punch their ticket in is the 7th seed. The Broncos still hold control right now, currently sitting at 9-7. But if they lose next week against Kansas City, that really does hurt their chances. They would need some help in order to get in. The Broncos still have a direct path in by beating Kansas City's backups next week. If they can't do it, though, their best chance at getting into the playoffs is if Miami drops one of their remaining 2 games against Cleveland or the Jets. They play this week without Tua Tagovailoa, so that is good news. Additionally, they would need some help from Russell Wilson and the Steelers. They would need the Steelers to beat the Bengals. If Denver loses next week against Kansas City and those 2 outcomes happen, they are still in the playoffs as the 7th seed according to the NFL playoff machine. But that's basically the only way that you can get in if you don't win next week. You would need help from the Steelers and you would need help from one of Miami's next 2 opponents. It's a tough ask for sure, but it can be done. You want to avoid that scenario altogether and just win against Kansas City's backups. And I've seen some fans say, why should Kansas City play their backups? They've got 24 days worth of rest. Andy Reid does not believe in rest versus rust. He just doesn't. He has historically leaned towards resting his players, and with Patrick Mahomes dealing with a high ankle sprain, I'm almost certain that he's not going to play in the game for sure, because they want him to stay healthy. It's all fun and games trotting your starters out there until Patrick Mahomes re-aggravates his high ankle sprain, or worse, Travis Kelce tears his ACL. It's just not worth risking the injury, and that's why I'm strongly confident that Andy Reid is going to sit his starters in this game. Additionally, it might benefit the Chiefs long term if they let the Broncos win this game because it keeps Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals out. And if there's one team that has given Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs grief and has made their life difficult in the playoffs, it's been the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow has owned the Kansas City Chiefs. So I honestly believe that Kansas City might want to keep Cincinnati out, and by doing so, sacrificing that final regular season game against Denver, that sounds like it would be worth it to me if I'm Kansas City. I would much rather play Denver in the playoffs if I'm KC than play Cincinnati in the playoffs. Now, most likely, Denver's going to go in and get crushed in Buffalo. Probably Cincinnati would lose in Buffalo too, but I know for a fact that Kansas City doesn't want Cincinnati in the playoffs because they don't want to risk seeing Joe Burrow out at Burrowhead Stadium. It's just not worth it to them. That is why I am still confident in the Denver Broncos being able to take care of business next week. They should have been able to take care of business this game. They should have at least been able to tie it there in overtime, but they botched it. The way that they went about overtime was just completely wrong, in my opinion. I have no issues with them going to overtime because a tie would have still got them in, but the way that they approached it once they got there was just completely wrong. The screen pass, the missed throw to Troy Franklin, all of it just lives in your head rent-free. You think about the bad punt from Riley Dixon that set up Cincinnati on their final possession. But at the end of the day, Denver has a chance to right that wrong next week against Kansas City's backups. Alright guys, be sure to leave a like on this video as well, subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. And until next time guys, I'm your host Gage Madrid, saying peace out.